Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to some more StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today I got probably the craziest of craziest games for you that I have played in Zerg vs Terran so far, okay? So if you haven't gotten yourself some drinks or something to eat yet, you should definitely go ahead and do so. Not because this game is crazy long, but because you're gonna need some time to, you know, breathe and make sure that you actually stay healthy and hydrated here, because this is a pretty crazy stupid match right here. My opponent is named Alpaca, I've just noticed. I didn't actually know that. That's kind of a cute name. I believe that's one of these llama type things, right? I don't know 100%. I think it is. But anyways, he's a Terran player and he's already going for a super early gas, guys. On the production tab, we can have a quick look right there. But obviously that doesn't mean very much on its own, other than the fact that my opponent is already making a barracks across the map, and he's gonna make another one right here as well. Now obviously he's adding on a gas geyser, so you will know very quickly that this is either gonna be a marauder or a reaper all in, but for the most part it's really only gonna be a reaper all in. Obviously most of the time marauders are just simply not good enough to really get anything done. Technically speaking, you should be able to do something right there, but it just doesn't really happen. Most of the time you will, for example, maybe see people add on a reactor and pump out double marines instead, but adding on a tech lab and then eventually going for marauders is just not really, you know, it's just not really that great of a strategy to go for. No, I'm just playing super standard, right? As you guys know, I'm not really much of a cheesy player. I just go ahead and, you know, make a hatchery, and then I went for the spawning pool, and then added on the gas geyser as well. Now, I will very quickly notice that something fishy is going on in my opponent's main base. I noticed right here very quickly with my first overlord that, you know, there's a command center. I'm gonna check at the very top of the ramp, and I'm like, I don't see a building yet. What is this? I haven't seen anything. Let me put the drones in the gas. Let's check back. Ooh, wait, what? There is a depot, and that's about it? If I see the lack of a if I see the depot, but I see the lack of a barracks, there's really only two options. Either he's putting a barracks on my side of the map, which is not something that I like, or he's going for his CC first on the low ground. Really, those are the only two options that he has. Now, I'm checking the low ground right now, and I very quickly notice that there is nothing to see, and he is already putting up a bunker in my main base, and I'm like, honestly, I was playing this on the live stream, I was already like, oh, come on, man. Like, man, just don't. But then I see Reapers, and I'm like, okay, that's actually not too bad then. If it would have been mass marine with like triple or quadruple barracks, which is relatively common, it would be really difficult to pull this off. But as it is right now, I'm just trying to micro my ass off to do as much damage as possible, you know, make some buildings here and there to not lose any drones if I can at all avoid it. And I'm also getting a whole bunch of Zerglings just to make sure that we can stay alive, but a whole bunch of spine crawlers here as well. Do end up cancelling that spore crawl, obviously. I do also have the natural finished up, which I should really be on hotkeying before I start making any drones there on accident, which I've already done. Not great, but as long as I get my, you know, my spine crawlers in range of his bunker, I should technically be able to kill it. Now, one nice thing to note that I didn't actually know before playing this game about the Reaper is that Reaper grenades, like these little mine things that they keep throwing, are actually really good at cleaning up larvae. And that is exactly what he's going to be using it for right here as well. Now, we do have 3 spine crawlers, obviously. Spine crawlers are very good at, you know, poking at these things. And we do manage to, you know, break it for now. But, you know, we do have Zergling speed on the way and all that. But at the same time, there's a ton of Reapers already out on the map, and he's adding on 3 more right now. He's got triple barracks right there, pumping out more and more of them. He's still making SCVs at home as well, landing that mule, and obviously that is what is allowing him to do this much. Now at the same time right here, I'm like, okay, he's likely not going to be jumping in my main base. He will be able to kill my natural, which is all good right there. But what do I need to do? Like, what do I do to follow this up? So I'm like, okay, maybe I can play this like I've been doing a lot in Zerg vs Protoss whenever I get cannon rushed, obviously, and go for a quick Nidus off of one base, add on some roaches, add on some extra queens here as well, and just get the lair going, go up to a Nidus, and try and do some damage that way. And that's exactly the plan right now. However, he's already got a whole bunch of Reapers. I will be able to use my Zergling speed here to ward them off for now, but there's no way that I can actually fight them. I'm just trying to make as many as I possibly can. Do have the second queen finished up right now. I am already getting the roach war and am starting up the lair right now, but if he's just getting more and more Reapers, I eventually will be able to go down, and he's just doing so much damage to me right now that I'm not really feeling too comfortable about what is going on. But I already promise you that this is a bit of a crazy game here, and as you may be aware, there is an island on this map. If we go up to the top left a little bit right here, you will be very quickly able to see that there is an island base, and that will come into play in a little bit. Very reason is that, you know, we'll play some Nidus here. So my opponent's still being annoying. Obviously, roaches are absolutely amazing against Reapers. I mean, I don't know exactly how many how many roaches it takes to kill a Reaper in one shot, but either way, it takes way more Reapers than it takes, you know, roaches to kill the other thing around. So roaches are going to be a great unit against this, and obviously they're extremely tanky. They will be doing significant amounts of damage here as well. And I know at this point that he is likely not going to have very much at home at all. He may just be able to go up to either, you know, more barracks right here and switch into marines instead. And I know that he also has the option to just simply go for a barrack or for a factory and start pumping out, for example, siege tank and widow mines and banshees if he goes up to a starport and all that sort of shenanigans. But, you know, I basically have to go for an all-in right now. I don't really have much of an option. And at this point, if you take a look at income, it's actually not that crazy. You gotta keep in mind, while my opponent does have mules, he obviously also has SUVs mining and all that. He doesn't have a second expansion, so he won't be able to make very much besides these Reapers at all. Now, Reapers are relatively cheap. I'm trying my very best to just kill as many of these Reapers here as possible. They are very, very cheap in minerals. And the one thing to note about that is that it's going to be pretty good for me to do a lot of damage that way. So I am forced right now to split up my army. I am going to be getting the Nidus Worm done in his main base. I scout that he indeed did go for the 3rd command center. I need to make sure that these Reapers, however, are not going to be doing that much damage in the meantime while I'm at home. So I'm going to split up about half of my roaches, making sure that I have at least a couple at home to try and defend this to the best of my abilities. My opponent already has a Widow Mine out right there, but I do manage to get the Nidus Worm done in the main base. He's immediately gonna select the entire army and make it go home, and that is the mistake right there. He does lose a bunch of the Reapers. Gonna use one of my transfuses that I do have available to actually make sure that the queens are transfusing the roaches right there. I'm just trying to pump out as many as I possibly can. Now, Terran buildings, opposed to, for example, Protoss buildings, have this unique feature. It's called the lift off. And what he can do is just simply leave me alone right here. He does have 2 command centers. Obviously, they're both still gathering energy, even if they're floating around. So he, technically speaking, doesn't even really need that many units. But he did lose pretty much all of the SCVs that he has. He's lost 24 workers right here, but he is headed towards the island. And at this very point in time, it didn't really cross my mind. Oh, hold that thought though, because there's a massive amount of marines already at my doorstep right now in the natural. I'm gonna be pushing all of my roaches back home and try and, you know, stay alive that way. But at this very point in time, while playing this game, it didn't occur to me that I could simply put a Nidus at the island here as well. For some reason, I thought that I had to go for Mutalisk right now, because if I don't have the Mutalisk, obviously, how am I possibly gonna be able to get over to the island? Not thinking that I could just float my Overseer over there and put a Nidus down. But I'm forced to look around. I know that one command center went one way, like he basically sent about half of the, or you know, one of the command center up to the south, and then he sent one up to the island expansion as well. Now I'm trying my very best to do as much damage as possible. He has already spotted my natural, and I'm trying to do, you know, get that economy up. I'm not 100% certain how many workers my opponent had left. He may very well have had another hidden base that I didn't know about. Knowing that Reapers are only 50 minerals each, he will be stacking up a significant amount of minerals. Now, it turns out he doesn't actually have all that much. If you take a quick look, though, at the everyone camp, my opponent has the island mining. He's producing a lot of army from reactored barracks that are on my side of the map. He has a ton of marines on my side of the map as well. And he is mining from his 3rd base, also with mules. So, at this point in time, even though he doesn't have that much, the mules are really starting to kick in. And I am forced to take an engagement right there, accidentally hitting my own hatchery, almost sniping my own base down. But I know at this point that the marines are gonna be unupgraded, they don't have combat shield, they don't have stimpack, they don't have any upgrades, and at this point I am in an okay place. But it's not great. It is not great. He will be able to do plenty of damage if I'm not careful. I am going up to the spire right now, making sure that I use that to go over to the main base of my opponent that is now landed at the island. And what I'm gonna do is use my queens right now for defense as well, trying to transfuse all of the low HP Reaper, or all of the low HP roaches. And I do manage to snipe out exactly with the one roach that was killing the depots in the main base. I snipe out exactly where one of the command centers went, but there's still a scary amount of SCVs, or of marines here. He's using so many of them, he's losing so many of them, but he still has so many left. He's producing 6 at a time right now. I am gonna be moving over very shortly with a couple of drones towards my natural, trying to kill as many of these things as possible, but the queen transfuses are extremely powerful. And slowly but surely, I do manage to clean up most of that army. This roach right here, that is on my opponent's side of the map as well, got 9 kills. And those are pretty much all SCV kills, but because there really wasn't anything else to kill right there. And I am headed towards the island, finally realizing that I don't actually need to spire right here at all. I can just simply put down a Nidus Worm on the island expansion, and even though there's a lot mining, I'm simply gonna send a bunch of my army towards the island right now as well with the Nidus Worm. Obviously making sure that I have a couple of the roaches at home as well. Right-clicking on his other command center to know that I am following it around to make sure that I stay alive. However, my opponent's still having a lot of Marines right here. I'm forced to run once again. I have unloaded at the island right now. We'll be able to kill that very quickly, but still a lot of Marines are in my natural right now. He will be able to clean up my natural if I'm not very careful, and I do end up losing most of my queens. Now, at this point, I'm like, oh snap, the mules really have started kicking significantly because he has a ton of Marines in my natural after I just killed literally the entirety of his army. Now, obviously, they're super cheap. I have a couple of Mutalisks out. Mutalisks do get sacrificed right there for the greater good. We have to sacrifice units every now and then to the Overmind, obviously, to keep it up and running. But I do manage to clean up more and more SCVs. So far, I've managed to kill 43 workers in this game. He's still with 22 supply, but obviously, he still has, you know, the energy on the command centers, getting a ton of energy right there, and just ensuring himself that he's gonna be able to keep alive right now. Now, I am extremely split up with my army, and I know that he still has a significant amount of Marines walking across the map. I have to be very careful, because if he picks off chunks of my army, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. So I'm trying to babysit them right now, morphing in a couple of Ravagers here as well, knowing that there's a big chance that my opponent is gonna be landing at the gold base. I need to start pressuring that. There's no way that I will be able to kill this if my opponent does get the gold base up and mining. So I'm gonna try my very best to lower or to move the low HP roaches into you know, Ravagers, so I actually get them back at full health. Also patrolling with a couple of Overlords across the map to spot exactly where he did land that second command center as well. And I do want to go for a natural very shortly, but I don't have that many minerals remaining anymore. So scouting forward right here, do find the two command centers sitting right next to each other. He's producing a lot of Marines at this point, or he's producing a lot of SCVs at this point, but the corrosive bile of the Ravagers will eventually be a little bit too much for my opponent to really do anything with. And at this point, you know, while he is obviously floating the command centers away from the base, he does decide to GG out. And I was pretty happy with this game right here, because I actually thought I would have lost this very early on. But obviously the Nidus Worm into, you know, simply floating the buildings around the map is a pretty fun game to play. And I hope you enjoyed it. So let me know down below if you want to see more of these type of crazy games. I do get them every now and then. I don't always upload them to the YouTube channel because I'm not 100% certain, you know, if you guys really enjoy them. But let me know down below if you're interested in seeing more. But other than that, I want to thank y'all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you in the next one.